Welcome to the Growing Green Landscapes Podcast with Jeremiah Jennings. While still in his early 20s, Jeremiah already runs a successful six-figure lawn maintenance company. Listen in as he and his guests share the things that have brought them success that can help you in your business. As a young entrepreneur in the green industry, Jeremiah emphasizes the tips and tricks involved in running a lawn maintenance business while discussing the principles applying to all small businesses. If you're wanting to grow, become profitable and professional, you're in the right place. And now, here's your host, Jeremiah Jennings.
What's going on, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to another episode today here on the Growing Green Podcast. This is your host, Jeremiah Jennings, and we are very excited to be coming to you with part two of an interview that we did not expect to turn into two parts, but we did. And so we have none other than Gulf Coast Bookkeeping, Megan and Joey Coberly. How are y'all doing this afternoon?
Hey, Jeremiah.
As my emails come in here, let me mute
that. Nice sunny down here. We're liking it.
Sunny? Is it warm?
It's warm. A nice breeze today, but it's getting warm. Yeah.
No, we went from spring to summer real quick, and we had about 2 weeks of spring, which is typically the way it is here in Alabama. We'll get a little tease right around Easter, and then as soon as we get past Easter, it's pretty much June and July is what it feels like all summer long. So
exactly. Yeah. I'm already starting to see all the bugs outside. I'm getting ready to nuke the property with some insecticide and.
You do all that stuff yourself, or you hire it out?
No, I actually do it myself. Yeah. No, yeah. I just I needed a battery for my lawnmower for like a year ago. Figure with the landscaping bookkeepers, and I'm jumping off my lawnmower every time I use it. But I finally bought a battery, so now I can get out there and actually, cut the grass and spray stuff down. So
as we're a quarter way through the summer, so it's a good time to get onto it, though.
Yeah. We're just gonna claim that we're new house owners, so we've only been at this for a year. And
when did y'all move in? When did y'all buy y'all's place?
April
last year.
Yeah, we rented next door, and then our neighbor, who we had formed a pretty good relationship, he said, "Hey, I think I'm going to sell." He had some personal things that had come up over the past few years. Really wanted to get out and go live with some family. So we looked at it, and so funny story. When he first mentioned he wanted to sell his house, I looked at Joe. I was like, "No, I've been over there. I really don't want the house. Let's look for something different, something we can grow into." And then Joey's like, "Do you know he has 2 acres?" And I'm like, "What? He has 2 acres?" I'm like, "Where?" Funny enough, I've never seen this. So we literally are next door neighbors, right next door to us, few steps, and we're at his yard. But behind his hedge in the back of his quarter acre, he has a full 2 acres that he owned, completely cleared, middle of town, flat, hedged in by just trees.
Like 20-foot tall trees all the way around it, so you never know it's back there.
You never know it's back there. And he had planned with his wife to use it for an RV setup. But they had just never done it. And so, anyway, I said, I might want to look at this. So
he got me good one day. So we were living next door to him for probably 2 years. And one day he approached me and he's like, "Hey, I'll help you cut your grass if you help me cut mine." And we were living on like a little tenth of an acre. And, and it looked like, looking over there, I was like, "Okay, this is, roughly the same size as mine. Sounds good." He had a riding mower and I had a little push mower. And anyway, he came over, we cut the grass together, and then I went over to his house and he drug me back to the 2 acres. And I'm back there, I'm like, "What in the world is this? You got me good, man."
So is this the land that y'all sold, that they sold to you recently?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I ended up cutting his 2 1/4 acres with him. He helped me cut my 1/10 of an acre, so I think he got the better end of that deal.
Well, that just makes up for the price that y'all got it for. I mean, that's what that does. You just put some good sweat equity into it, and now it paid off. So.
Yeah.
So
for the audience listening, he ended up selling us the 2 acres for $10. So just because, I don't know, he's just a nice guy and he hooked us up. So
if you want the full backstory to that, tune into the last episode, and that was where we dove into that conversation a lot more than we're going to get into it today. But that was really fun. We went down a road that I didn't know we were going to go down when we started the interview, but it was awesome, and it was a really, really good interview. So if you're listening to this one, tune back into the last episode with Megan and Joey, and that you'll learn a lot out of that one. But today's route, the way we want to go today is we want to hear more about Gulf Coast Bookkeeping and kind of how y'all are helping the industry, changing the industry when it comes to bookkeeping and helping people create successful businesses from the financial side of things and the organization side of things, because I know personally I am a business owner who struggles with that, and y'all have totally helped me and changed things up for me in the short, 3 months that we've been working together here recently this year. And y'all have gotten my books in order, and they were a mess. And so did a big cleanup, finally got everything in order, and now we're trucking ahead, and we're going to hopefully have a good year ahead. And I've never really understood half the things that go into the financials of running a business, and this is year 4 for me. So that's not good. And we have a lot of guys in here who listen to the show that are young in business, that are in year 1, 2, 3, 4, and these are things that I wish I had back in the beginning, and bookkeepers like yourselves to come and explain and kind of walk through the baby steps of how to run your business successfully from the financial side of things. So take it away. What is Gulf Coast Bookkeeping? And I mean, I know what you do for me, but explain to everybody else what you can do for them and kind of what y'all services y'all offer.
Yeah, so no one hands you a packet when you first start a business, right? It's like, hey, I want to start a business, have a lawnmower, and you're going to go fulfill that service. But there's the other side of it, which is finance. It's not the only other side, but it's a huge aspect of your business, not only because of the IRS, but just simply because that's what communicates about your business, is the numbers behind it. What gets measured gets managed. And so that's, I think, where we've carved out our niche, is the idea that no one hands you a packet and tells you these are the numbers you should take care of every single month, or when you should take care of them. Is it every week? Is it every month? Is it every quarter? If you go by your taxes, it's every year, of course. But, we see the value in educating our clients, and we are there for the young in business. I think that's a little bit of the niche we've carved out. So the first piece of it is definitely the organization. That's probably what we're going to market, is that organization side of things. Obviously, our clients put it in words. Each client puts it in a different word. So some of them say, I want to be more professional. Some of them come at it with the angle of, I want to be more organized. Some of them say, I don't want to be as stressed. I don't have time for this anymore. So every single person's different, but the piece we're offering is the organization. The bookkeeping is the foot in the door. And that comes with not only a cleanup, so it's going to be some sort of upfront investment to get your books up to speed, but then we see it valuable every single month. However, we know a lot of people will hire that part of their business out, and then the bookkeeper disappears on them, or so does the CPA. They disappear on them.
Or things get done the wrong way. That's one of my big ones.
It's more expensive to clean it up.
Yep.
It's so much
expensive.
And a lot of CPAs, this is not to dog CPAs, but a lot of them, they want to do the taxes. And so the monthly side of things, or just the organization side of things, they're going to summarize a lot more than what a bookkeeper who's in your books every single month can do for you. And, so the second piece of it, the first is the organization side of it. And that comes not only with the cleanup, but then just being in there monthly. And then the second piece of it is accountability. And we see that done best through a monthly meeting, whether that's 45 minutes or to an hour, up to an hour. And that meeting, some of it is still just getting everything put together in terms of organization, but a lot of it is, hey, we saw your bank charge twice for this. Were you expecting that? Is that correct? Mm-hmm. There was one client we had, and he thought a $7,000 check had been written and deposited. Because what happened was the client said, yep, I'll write that for you. So he went into QuickBooks, marked it as paid, and then never got the check. And so, we were able to turn around and say, hey, where's this check? And he says, I never got that. And so was able to, go back and actually receive that $7,000. So you've got the organization piece, but then you've got the accountability. And we do that through our monthly meetings. The goal would be to keep you accountable. Just if you have to show up and we have to show up, there's so much that can get done with just that idea. It'd be like someone having access to your bank account. Maybe I should give an analogy of someone visiting your home. If someone's visiting your home, you're likely to do just a little bit more cleanup or work into your house when someone's going to visit. So that's a little bit of how we view ourselves, in terms of you're accountable to us in that meeting, and we are accountable to you. We're not going to disappear on you. We're there telling you exactly what we're doing and showing you what we're doing every single month. And so we educate you on the 3 financial statements that we present. That's the balance sheet, your statement of cash flows, and the P&L, which most people call it, even though it's called the income statement. So those three work together to give you a view of your business. The first thing we want to do is educate you on that, give you a chance to see your numbers, which then in turn gives you a headspace for the months that follow. Most of my clients, when they come to me, bookkeeping is always retrospective. So most of my clients, when they come to me, they know it was a rough month, or they know, they have this feeling of how their month went, and most of the time they're correct. But that extra piece is, first of all, knowing the numbers are also communicating what you feel is correct. And then, the last piece would be the ability to zone in on exactly what your business needs you to focus in on, because there's a lot of voices out there, but it'd be best to zone in on what your business is telling you is best to hone in on.
I love every bit of that. The numbers don't lie at the end of the day. That's the thing. And so even those three statements that you talked about that y'all present to your clients and your customers, half of you out there listening don't know what those mean. And let's just be honest with ourselves, because 3 or 4 months ago, I didn't know what all that meant in depth before we got together and went through all of that. And that's not to shame anybody out there listening. It's just a fact of the matter that most of us starting a landscaping business didn't go to business school. They didn't. I mean, some people did. Some people went through 4 years of college and got business degrees and all that, but I didn't. And I don't know, 60 to 70% of the people that I know that have landscape companies didn't do that. So they don't know what all this stuff means. And the thing is if you don't know what that stuff means, it's very, very easy for your business to get out of hand very quickly, the financial side of things, because you're not sitting down and running through those reports and understanding what they all mean. It's like reading the Bible and just skimming through the verses, but not actually diving into what the verses actually mean. Like the context of what you're talking about, because I can look at the balance sheet and see numbers and positive, good, okay, I'm better than I have more assets than I do liabilities, good deal, but I don't know what all that means, and I could still be doing things wrong even though I have a positive ratio there, I guess you could say. The assets to liabilities could be positive, but I could still have things that I need to fix and grow and move upon. So that is a value that I see that is almost unmatched, is just being able to go through those reports and say, look, here's what these things mean. And I love the value that y'all bring. Joey, what do you think about it? What do you say about what Gulf Coast Bookkeeping does, and what is your role in the company?
So I say with bookkeeping, obviously you don't want to just have a couple of yards and have a bookkeeper, because that's going to cut into your profits a lot. But basically, the gist of it is you want to do things right from the beginning, because if you get 3 years, 4 years down the road, and you have to turn around a company that's, let's say, bringing in $300,000 in revenue, but you're not profitable, you should have been focusing on being profitable, from day one, basically. And anybody familiar with profit first, that's kind of the premise of the book, is that you want to take your profits first, and then whatever's left over you run your company with. So having a good bookkeeper on your team, that will help you achieve that goal of staying profitable from the beginning and not having a train wreck 5 years down the road. My role in the company, me and Megan do a lot of educating ourselves so that we can give good advice and analytical analysis of statements. I do a lot of research so that we can have good data and good knowledge to present to the people that we are presenting the numbers to, and that we can interpret for them so that they can have something to do with those numbers. So I'm in charge of a lot of the ratios that we're building out and comparable benchmarking and just the ins and outs of running a good company, because at the end of the day, all companies are run very similarly in the fact that the numbers are the language of any business. So
Joey comes at it with an investing perspective, which is such a good pairing to my organizational critical eye. And he comes at it with the business mindset, and I come at it with a business mindset in the sense that I'm pretty conservative with money, but more so he sees things from an investing perspective, and he can really, first of all, do all that research and really understand the information that he's perceiving. And he knows that most businesses, there's very few metrics you have to look at to know if it's going to be a sustainable business, no matter the industry.
I'm big on, as the business owner, I think the number one thing you can do, or one of the top things you can do, is you are an allocator of capital. So you want to always have your money in the right things in order to generate the most profit. So you're not the sweep all your money under a mattress type guy. The movement of money makes money, but you want to have your money in the most powerful position in order to have the highest level of profitability, if that makes sense. So that's kind of
and at the end of the day, that's what Warren Buffett is. He's a good capital allocator.
Yeah, at one point the richest man in the world. So, who is it now? Is it
I think it's Elon Musk.
is it Elon? Is he the richest now? Well,
yeah. So the last time we got into debt, I mean, he made it work.
Yeah.
He made all that work.
yeah, for sure. He definitely used debt to create more income down the road. So there's good and bad there.
That's right, and that's the piece we're really working on is aggregating that specific industry related information. We're hoping now that we've had a lot of our clients for 2 years, we're moving into okay, we've educated you on how these communicate, but what specifically can you do with your own information about your business? And that's the piece that most everybody wants when they first come to you. But we put that education first for about a year, gives us a chance to really get to know you and your business, but it also gives you a chance to learn the language, map out how financial statements speak to you, and then we really want to move you toward, okay, we want you to be a solid business. We want you to make sure you've got what you need when things don't go as you planned. How can we move you toward that? And yeah, that's the piece we're putting together now. It's really fun. We're doing quite a bit of sifting through numbers, seeing how other people stack up their profit and loss, in order to get certain margins and percentages.
Mm-hmm. We listen to a lot of people that scale businesses or landscaping businesses in particular really fast, and we see what they're doing differently than other companies in order to achieve their goals really early on, whereas it might take somebody else, a good 15, 20 years to get their goals. What are these guys doing that helps them scale really fast and keep their sanity at the same time?
Right, differentiates them. So a lot of our clients, they have specifically asked, first of all, they say, give me an objective, unbiased opinion about my business. And, for the first several years, we were like, oh, we're just going to organize you. Mm-hmm. We don't run a landscaping business, but we are able now to move into that role where we've always known numbers don't lie, but here's our evaluation, not just here's the organization, here's our evaluation of it.
Well, and you've done it, you're getting to the point where you've done it for 2 years and you're seeing some history now. And also one thing that people need to get caught up in, and I have to tell myself this, is there are companies that scale very quickly and they can go from $0 to $1 million in a year or 2 or 3 years, like very, very fast. But the majority of businesses don't do that. Let's come back to real life and say the majority of businesses, when you make it from year 1 to year 5, if you survive those years, you're doing pretty good. That's the thing. And if you get and you really start seeing profits from year 5 to 10, at least from what I've read and research I've done, and you can probably speak more on this, Joey, than I can, but one thing that I think y'all can do is help people. It may be the ones that are feeling down on themselves, the ones that at your monthly interview, your monthly reviews of your books, they're the ones that aren't making very, very much profit, or they're even in the negative. But you can also say, look, here's where you're spending things. This is the history of what we've seen. We've seen other companies struggle through these years 1 and 2, but now they're in year 3 to 5, and they're actually coming out of that process of reinvesting very heavily, and now they're turning profit. And y'all could be that help to somebody who are down on themselves because they don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. They don't see where they can be in 2 to 3 years with some financial help. And
exactly.
The good news is about landscaping and lawn care in particular is when you're just a one-man crew, or let's say you're under $200,000 in revenue, you're almost always going to make money. Like, you pretty much can't mess that up. The problem is, in order to get to $200,000 to $1 million or $500,000, whatever the case is, you need extra levels of profitability to reinvest into your company in order to grow your crews and all the extra things that come along with it. You might need a new facility to park your equipment at, or whatever the case is. So you can be making a pretty good living, but if you didn't catch a few things early on, maybe you didn't have your bookkeeping taken care of, or whatever the case is, you're never going to be able to scale past that $200K mark because of all the extra overhead costs that come into play that you didn't account for early on. And then you have to reprice all your jobs and everything in order to come up with that extra level of profit in order to scale past that mark.
Right.
Yeah, no, 100%. That do you? And this is very. You did not know this question was coming. You can say yes or no. Do you, Joey? I get this vibe from you. Do you ever feel like you might ever turn into like some type of business coach? Just the brand that you have on yourself when you come to like this projections and this type of stuff. Do you ever see yourself going down that route? Because to me, I see a lot of benefit in it.
Possibly, it might be something that we add on later on. I'm not sure.
I think our main...
I'm very much an introvert. I like to just live in my little simple world. And you know, we fortunately with bookkeeping, we don't have to reinvest into a lot of equipment and stuff, so we can take a lot of our extra cash and invest into other stocks or companies or whatever the case is.
Yeah, for sure.
That's our biggest fear for stepping foot in a coaching role, because there's a difference between a coach and what we feel like we are, and that is, number one, definitely your bookkeeper. Number two, we're also business owners, so we do understand, you know, a little bit, but we're your cheerleaders. You know, at the end of the day, I'm not trying to keep you to this specific plan that I have created that I see is valuable. And the reason for that, mainly between us right now, is we don't own a landscaping business.
Yeah.
We own a very different business. We don't have a lot of overhead. You know, there's just so many things that are different.
And I think that'll grow with time. The longer y'all do this, but it's kind of what we talked about. The more clients you build, the more history you build with those clients. You get to year 10, and you can say, "Look, here's 10 years of history of working with landscapers." Then you don't technically own a business, but you know enough about it to say, "Well, I almost do." Like,
right.
Yes, I can see him.
I think we kind of view ourselves as a team member to your business as well, because for one thing, it's really lonely being an entrepreneur a lot of times, and if you don't have anybody to bounce ideas off of, you know, we can really be that sounding board for you and build relationships with you over the years. Because
I find a lot of times in the meetings, business owners are outsourcing their sanity. They have all these fears, they have all these thoughts, just depending on, you know, their individual self and their business, and they get in those meetings and they just start talking, and you know, we can just keep asking them questions so that they're, through their words, they're starting to really put into place what they view as important, what they should be working on. And obviously the numbers are that objective, unbiased opinion as well that, you know, can validate what we're saying. But yeah, we see ourselves as partners, and I think you're right. I think maybe the consulting, which I think is where...
Consulting, that's a good word for it, yeah.
Yeah, I think that, I'm guessing it could occur, but I don't know if we would love that. He loves the research. He absolutely loves the business side of it. And I kind of feel like the 1 hours do a little bit of that overtime.
I'm not really the biggest fan of consulting either, personally. I think that through relationships that you build, you know, eventually you'd be able, like, just through us talking in the meetings or whatever the case is, you'd be able to think through these things on your own, just through the relationship that we've built, and you would have to ask us questions or whatever. You know, we want you to be so educated that you can think through these problems on your own, you know, because to me that's the most valuable thing. It's kind of the age-old teach a man to fish instead of give a man to fish type analysis.
Yeah.
And, you know, Joey has always stated to me, he said, I don't really give advice. He says, I speak through experience. And I think that's really wise. You know, it's just the idea of like, I'm not where you are in your region owning a business. And so the other thing that I think is really difficult is so many of our clients, the personal mixes with business. And I don't even mean that in a sense of what I see in their bank account. I just mean what they do in their personal lives really affects their business.
Yes.
And we do our best to stay out of that personal, because I think over time, obviously we'll have those conversations, but there's just so much personally that in 1 hour, if I try to tell you to do this, this, and this, that makes no sense to you. You've got a personal side and a wife and kids and family members that you're doing your best to take care of.
And to build on that, if you're really young in business and you're still under the, let's say, 200K mark, I keep using that, your personal life is also really tied to your business side, because if you're drawing, you know, I don't know, too much out of the business, but you haven't got your personal budget taken care of, then you're sucking a lot of equity out of your company, and you're using it on personal things that you could have budgeted for and reduced your owner's draw, if that makes sense. So you need a personal budget and you need a business budget in order to keep the most money into your business and to kind of live frugally while you're trying to start your company out. Because if you're not living frugally personally, then you're really going to suck a lot of equity out of your company. It's going to stunt your growth early on.
I like that a lot. That applies to myself because I'm still in that stage of owner's draws and figuring out what to take and what not to take. And
Right.
So,
that's good stuff that I really haven't put. I don't think I put as much thought in that as I should have. What is so while we're on the topic of young in business and that type of thing, what are maybe some points of emphasis or some tips that you would give to somebody out there who's in year 1 or 2 and maybe they're not to the point where they need to be hiring y'all yet. They're not to maybe they only have 25 clients or they're not making. Well, let me ask you this: do you have a number that you would say, okay, you need to hire a bookkeeper? Or
we used to say once you hit a top line of 6 figures, then give us a call. But recently we're rolling out a new service where we're trying to market to like maybe if you're 50 to 100K in revenue.
Let
me give you a good example. A lot of firemen, they have a side business of landscaping.
Yes.
And, they do it part-time. So that would be for them, that service where you definitely want to be organized. If nothing else, tax season, although we don't think bookkeeping is just for taxes.
Mm-hmm.
But it would be that service. And Joey really states it this way. It's not really like a revenue or per se how many sales that would be the same as revenue. It's not really revenue.
Yeah.
It's more of if you can get clients really well, that should be your main focus. If go out and get those sales, get that recurring revenue that is the basis of that business, money you can depend on. And so if you're good at that, give that bookkeeping hat to someone else, and that's what we're trying to create that service for. So, geez, if you're really good at it and you can afford the $198, that's going to be the base value of that service. Starts at $198. If you can feel like you can afford that, plus whatever you're actually quoted, do it.
I think the key takeaway is if doing your bookkeeping is costing you sales that you could be making as the owner, then you need to go ahead and delegate because that's when your growth can really take off.
So,
and if you're not going to go out and get lots of sales, then you probably don't need a bookkeeper. But that's kind of where we stand with it.
For sure. So with that out of the way and that clarification, what are some tips that you would give to somebody who's maybe not quite to that level yet? They're still very young in business, but what are some foundational tips for them to implement in their company so when they do get to the point of coming to you, they're not like upside down in their financials?
I guess just the old receipt thing would be mine. I'm not really sure. I haven't thought about this.
He's just saying like in terms of not really the organization. I mean,
a little bit of the organization too, though. That's a thing that when I started my bookkeeping, my crap wasn't together. Let's just be honest. My stuff was not where it needed to be. So I don't know if somebody's saying there's no way I can afford you this year, but starting in January of 2023, I'm going to hire you. What are some things for the rest of 2022 that they need to be doing that they should kind of get the ball rolling so when they come to you, it's not a total slap in the face like, whoa, why have I never done this?
Okay, documentation. That would be in my terms of organization, it would be documentation. So if that's receipts in a box, that's receipts in a box. I mean, obviously there's much better ways to do that, but if that's what it is, that's
you still have it. I mean, if the IRS comes after you, you at least have it.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you still have it, and most of the time it's the CPAs that really get hit with that because if you're doing it that way, likely you view that organization only necessary for tax time, not for your own specific information. But if anything, it would be that organization so that when I do come asking for all that information to get the best starting picture we can of your business in terms of numbers, it's there. Whether that's how much you purchased for this asset, when you purchased it, what were the details of it. If you have a signed bill of sale, do that for yourself. Documentation keeps friends. So
I would say documentation is a good one. One thing that I think I would say is obviously, and we've talked about this a lot, but keep your business and your personal separate.
Yeah, I was not thinking of that.
Big time. Oh man. In fact, it's funny you say that because whenever someone comes to me and wants to use me, that's a requirement. A requirement for me that they have a separate business account. Now I know things still get mixed, and we take care of that, but. Yeah, definitely. That's a great suggestion. In my mind, that's when you consider yourself professional and business-like, is when you have a separate business account. I know the LLC and all of those entities don't necessarily require it in some strict sense.
Yeah.
People get away with it. But in my mind, that's when you've really turned that key into, okay, this is my business, and I'm going to look at it as its own entity and its own organization versus, this is my home and its own organization over here.
That's good stuff. Yeah. Anything else off the top of your head?
Off the top of my head.
Okay. So think on it. If you think of something, just stop me and blurt it out, because I'm sure it'll be good, and somebody else out there will learn and grow from it. So talk about a little bit about what's coming up in the fall for Gulf Coast Bookkeeping, and kind of you already hit on some of the services that you're going to be rolling out, but what are some things that y'all are thinking of implementing, and kind of how you're going to adapt and grow your business for the future?
So we're going to be implementing some ratio analysis for our clients, so that you can really know where to focus on. So that I think that's one of the biggest things that we've seen with our clients is okay, I know my numbers now. Now what do I focus on?
Yeah, what do I do with the numbers?
Yeah.
So we've been really doing a lot of research on what's the most important ratios that we should be looking for, in order to just have a healthy company, and in order to just know where to devote majority of our attention as the CEO of our business.
Yeah. One of the things we've tried to get clear in our minds is, if you use this service, how as an individual do you go into our services, and how should you on the other side of it come out, if that makes any sense. Like, just sort of kind of viewing it almost as, like a blender. A blender goes in as Whole Foods and it comes out, obviously a different consistency.
Yeah.
So if you're an individual looking to use our service, where are you at a starting point? And then once you use our service, where are you, at that end point, if you will, although we're a, month-over-month service. And I think our goal with the upcoming services is really to help you become profitable, but number two, be a profitable business that's solidified a foundation in order to move you through that middle ground. To do it well without losing too many profits. Obviously, you're going to have to, reinvest in your business, which might sacrifice some profits short term. And
to create a business that's, I guess, somewhat stress-free. I don't think any business is totally stress-free, but to have your finances in order to where you're not just like, oh my gosh, what do I do? You're constantly thinking about, I've got too much debt, or how can I afford this next crew that I'm gonna,
Right. One of my clients stated it really well today. He said, I don't want to always be looking at my bank account balance. And I thought,
that's big, yeah.
That is stressful.
Yeah.
If you are always looking to make sure you can make that payroll or make that payment on a truck, that's not our idea of business.
No.
That comes with.
Well, it's kind of like we talked about this before we record. Of if you're in that stage of where you're having to look at that business and you're like, man, am I making enough? Like, is there enough money in the bank account to make payroll, to make the next truck payment, whatever? Then are you really turning the profit that a business should be turning? And it's like we were talking about, is there a chance you're making so little profit you could just take that salary that you're paying yourself and just put in the stock market and make that profit?
Yes.
Right.
With way less the headaches.
Exactly. If you're always doing that, is this really worth your time?
Yeah, exactly. Is it worth your time?
If this is where you want to be, then it's got, it's got some issues you got to work out.
Yeah.
And
there's big decisions to make. You can make a lot of money in lawn care just staying small. You really can, and putting your money and just investing, let's say 15% of your salary into stocks or whatever, like Dave Ramsey recommends. You can make a lot of money doing that large amount of net worth. Or you can really just have one of the best businesses around and charge premier prices for premier services and make well over what you would have made just investing it into stocks. And then grow through that middle ground where you're adding on crew after crew. But yeah, if you're not going to achieve a certain level of profitability, what's the point in even growing a business? You're just chasing the top line for no reason.
With a million headaches, and you're not seeing any reward.
Always putting out the fires.
Yep.
Yes, you're always the go-to guy, and that's no one's true idea of business when they go into business.
Yeah.
No one has that idea of what. That's really not even what business means.
Mm-hmm.
The goal of the business is to have like he said, premier service for a premier price. You've got systems in place that provide you as the business owner the benefit and the reward of owning and starting that business and putting your hard work and a little bit of risk into it, or however much risk it is that you.
And one thing that I think is really important, I hear a lot of I wouldn't say influencers, but like some guys that have grown some really large companies. They're really big on stashing up a lot of cash early on in your business so that you can fund everything that you want to do as you grow your company. You know, you're not constantly strapped for cash, so to speak. And you see that a lot in the investing world too. You talk about Warren Buffett. He always has a huge cash balance in order to capitalize on, you know, some really good deals that you might find out there, you know, and I think that's a pretty common practice among really great investors or business minds.
So our goal would be to help our not smaller clients, but young in business build the balance sheet where, you know, even on Shark Tank, we were watching that last night, and Mark Cuban, he says, I really try to help the people I invest in, I really try to get them to see the value of conserving their cash, because things happen in business all the time.
And obviously you don't want to save up too much cash,
right?
Because cash doesn't generate any returns when it's just sitting there. So where's that fine line of being
if you had $100,000 last year, it's not what you have now. I mean, with the way
right. You want that cash to be making money.
And this is recorded in 2022 for anybody listening in the future. Just one of the worst years of inflation we've ever seen. So anyway, we won't get into that. So we do this in our networking group, and I want to ask y'all this, and because this is what we want to do. We want people out there who are looking for these services to see if Gulf Coast is a good fit for them. So what is an ideal client for you, and what are you looking for your clientele in Gulf Coast Bookkeeping?
I want her to answer that. She talks about it all the time.
So every single person states it differently, but I think if I were to wrap it up in, let's say, an elevator pitch, it's a business owner who wants to grow and wants to remain profitable through their growth. So they need to build a solid foundation while they're, let's say, in business for the first 1 to 5 years. You know, I don't like to put caps on how many bank accounts they have or how much revenue, but it's somebody who is looking, they do truly want to grow, which means in my mind, owning a business and growing is eventually moving out of the role of, you know, being in the field, or moving into only the role you want to be in. So if that is in the field, you're not doing administrative tasks.
Yep.
And so that's my idea of growth, and being able to grow through those years profitably. You'll have your amount of headaches, you'll have, you know, maybe months that are negative, but in a sense, you're going to move through those years, that middle ground, profitably and well as you can.
So let me ask you this, and I know you can set up a 15-minute call with you and kind of go over your businesses. And do you have any like broad qualifications per se that you need to you want to let everybody know before they even take that step, or do you just want anybody who is interested to go ahead and just schedule a 15-minute call?
Great question. So whenever you schedule for a 15-minute, you're required to fill out 5 questions, and I've tried to base those 5 questions. I mean, obviously some of it's just basic information like your name and email, but those 5 questions really are to vet my first stage of what am I trying to work with, and what's my ideal client, what's not. So Perfect. One of them would definitely be, you know, if I see you haven't filed tax returns for 7 years, I don't think I'm the best solution for you.
Yep.
You know, I really am future oriented, and so the past is what it is. I'm willing to bring you up to speed because that's important for books and for consistency. But you know, if you're 7 years on the hole, you're likely needing someone else.
Yeah.
And then the second thing would be the personal and business are separate. So, and I actually ask that. It's not a question, but I ask that whenever we do our 15-minute. Is your personal and your business strictly separate?
Yep.
In terms of you have a bank account, likely you have an LLC or some form of legal entity that keeps your business and your personal separate. So yeah, that's a great question. Definitely keeps business and personal separate, and their tax returns are only maybe a year out. I mean, sometimes a little bit more.
Yeah.
But you're really working on that piece.
So they can see those qualification questions when they schedule the 15-minute call.
Yeah.
Okay. So final question is for anybody out there who is interested in joining with y'all and using your services, what is a broad or I guess like your base pricing? Do y'all want to state that now, or is that something y'all want to just?
Yeah. So we have starting at prices, and behind the scenes, we're pretty transparent with the fact that the prices. Well, let me go into the different services and then a little bit of what it's based off of. So there's 2 separate services being rolled out in August. Our website is likely to be updated very soon, or in the works. On the bottom service, if you will, and it's not the bottom service, it's the organization piece. If all you want is organization for that firefighter who does this just part-time.
Yeah, it's your entry level service.
Right. Yep. That is $198 starting at. So it's going to increase from there, but you're going to have at least $198 that you'll be investing in us every month.
Yep.
And then the other service, which is you add on to that organization the accountability in the monthly meetings and some of the newer ratio comparisons that we're going to be rolling out. That is starting at $350 a month. So you'll be paying at least $350.
Okay.
So there's the 2 services.
Yep.
And then that's going to increase based on how many bank transactions you have. So if you want to limit how many bank transactions go in and out of your business before you come to us, you'll likely be paying a little less.
Yeah.
How many bank accounts you have, because that just dictates certain amount of reconciliations we do every month. And then how many loans you have, how many assets you have that we're tracking depreciation for. Those are the main things.
Yeah.
That it then increases.
Well, that at least gives everybody a kind of a rough idea of what they would, and it just, because here's the thing, let's just go ahead and qualify yourself. Don't reach out to Meg and Joey and waste their time if you're not going to even come anywhere near these qualifications. That's just the simple thing of it. I mean, don't call me if you want me to do a job that I just can't do. Don't waste as a business owner, you need to be spending your time on things that are actually going to generate you income. And so y'all have to do that in your business. You can't waste your time just qualifying people that exactly doing everything. So, well, that seemed, that was a lot of information. It was packed. We've actually 45 minutes. It's crazy how fast time flies, but it really does. Is there anything else y'all want to leave the audience with, and anything else about Gulf Coast Bookkeeping that you didn't really already hit on?
I feel like I have something.
Do you like your book? Do you like your book throwouts? Throw out your books you like.
I threw this out on Paul's podcast, Paul Jameson.
Yeah.
So shout out. But 3 books that I think every business owner should read is Pumpkin Plan by Mike Michalowicz, which is the precursor to Profit First. So you need to read Profit First next. I don't think you can read one without the other, personally. And then Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller, which will help you identify your target customer, because that's where a lot of money can bleed through, is definitely in your marketing costs. So just getting to know your customers so that you can clarify your message in your marketing so that your customers will be breaking down the door to get to you. So I can't recommend that book enough. We've used all 3 of those books in our business and had great results. So.
Which is another small little plug for a lot of our customers come to us knowing about Profit First and having some idea of implementing it in their business. And so that is a service they will be able to add on in the future with us. So
y'all do Profit First.
Profit First assessment,
okay.
Just helping them, obviously they're responsible for their money and all the transfers, but we'll help them set it up and implement it and keep them accountable to it.
And we personally use Profit First since day one of our business.
Oh, cool.
So we can't recommend it enough. It works great.
It goes back to that. We speak from experience there. We love Profit First. It's it's challenging, but it's well worth it when you get that profit. You actually earn that profit.
Yeah, 100%. Well, that's really good stuff. Thank you so much for coming on and spending time with us today and telling us a little bit more about Gulf Coast Bookkeeping, because I'm a big fan of the product and the service that you offer, and I know other people out there are as well. Where can everybody find you and kind of reach out to you for the 15-minute setup interview if they want to?
Thanks, Jeremiah. We appreciate it. So www.gulfcoastbk.com. I almost forgot that. And the reason is because we also have a second URL that we're trying to move toward, which is thelandscapingbookkeeper.com.
Awesome.
And we are going.
But that's not live yet, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Well, the website is. The website is just going to direct you to the Gulf Coast BK.
Okay, perfect. So you can either one of those will get you to where you need to be.
Yep. And so we're still Gulf Coast Bookkeeping. We'll just be advertising as the Landscaping Bookkeeper.
Awesome. The Landscaping Bookkeeper. I like it. I think I did hear that on Paul's show last week or whenever that was that it dropped. So
that might be the first time we mentioned it.
Yeah. Well, that's good stuff. Well, if y'all don't have anything else, like I said, I want to say thank you. We'll wrap this one up and kind of move on, because I know we have had a full afternoon here. We actually just did my monthly meeting for the services you do for me, and that was a huge benefit for my company, and I am really enjoying it and the services that you are offering myself and my company. So if anybody out there does want to reach out to Megan and Joey, you can at gulfcoastbk.com. The link will be in the show notes today. Just click on that and take you straight to it. So without any further ado, we're just going to, like I said, thank you for coming on and spending time with us.
Thanks, Jeremiah.
Thanks, Jeremiah. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. If you enjoyed the show today, would you just leave us a rating and review? Those really help us and will boost us to a bigger audience to kind of continue to grow the show, and so we can bring on bigger and better and just more qualified guests that we can keep bringing you valued content all the time. So that's what we want to be doing with a little bit of entertainment. We try to bring some entertainment every now and then. And if you want some entertainment, just go back to the last episode with Megan and Joey. A lot of entertainment in that one. So this is I'm going to refer to this episode as kind of like you did with Pumpkin Plan and Profit First. You can't really listen to one without the other. So if you've listened to this one, go back to the last one and definitely listen to that one, because that was a really fun interview in part one that we did with them. But without any further ado, we're going to wrap this one up, and we look forward to catching up with everybody here on the next episode.
Thanks for tuning in to the Growing Green Landscapes podcast. We know you have many other podcast options to choose from, and don't take it for granted that you chose to spend some time with us today. You can connect with Jeremiah Jennings at Growing Green Landscapes on Instagram, or use the link in the show description. Don't forget to smash the follow button on the podcast and leave those 5-star ratings and reviews. We hope you crush it in your business and hope to catch you on our next episode.